Welcome to the Node.js Technical Steering Committee meeting of the 18th of January 2023. And I'm joined here with my friends and colleagues on the stream, my fellow TSC members. And we have a light agenda today, so we'll probably end up finishing a little bit sooner. But first of all, let me do a tweet to share this. So the Node.js TSC meeting is live at, okay, here we go. So first thing, are there any announcements? Have you got any? I have one, but I'm asking the group, have you got any announcements? No. There is a very important announcement to make about the Collaborator Summit, the OpenJS Collaborator Summit, and the Open Source and the OpenJS World. Both of them will happen at embedded in the Open Source Summit. So I am going to add a few links there, but the dates are, I think, from the 9th to the 12th of May. In Vancouver, in Vancouver, Canada. So I'll put some information on the minutes, but you should, if you can, try joining. That would be great. And any other announcements?
So I would just like to have a quick shout out to not long ago started the performance working group team at the Node.js /performance, and I think we have had some great contributions and work on that aspect on improving the performance of Node. So I just wanted to shout out that looks promising and good work for everyone that's involved.
Okay. Perfect. It's amazing. Okay. Sure. Then CPC and board meetings updates. Unfortunately, yesterday there was somebody that wants to join. So here we go. And Tobias has just arrived. Amazing. And so next item on the agenda is the CPC board meeting updates. The update from last time, the budget and everything was approved, and we announced the OpenJS Collaborator Summit, OpenJS Collaborator Summit. Okay, as part of the open source summits. This year we will not have dedicated conferences organized by OpenJS World. The last year conference was not a success in that sense. There's not great turnout of people and so on. So it was also the first one post-pandemic, and we deemed to have a simpler structure this year. So the CPC is also working on solidifying project directed funding. So how it might be possible for companies or the foundation or everything, anybody to fund specific amount of work on specific projects. And we are going, and there's been some tests being worked on as part of the CPC. Conference. Okay, I'm just going to the conference, just writing a few notes. OpenJS work as part of Open Source Summit. And then the project directed funding. There has been also some updates on the there have been some updates happening on the code of conduct. You might want to check them out. I am going to add some links there. Nothing relevant, to be honest. Like nothing. It's important, but nothing major. But it will be good for you to check it out. Cool. I'm going to add the links there as soon as I have a little bit of time after the meetings. So we have one big issue to talk about. One issue to talk about today, which it's about Undici. So I'm very happy that I also have Robert here. So we have both of us are here, so that we can chat a little bit about that problem. In the sense, I call it a problem because it's something that we need to at least make some decisions and decide what we want to do on that side of things. And yeah, let's chat a little bit.
Yeah, so I guess this specific issue is about, being able to configure fetch, a global fetch to use a proxy.
Yeah.
And we kind of have support for that in Undici, but that requires exposing more of Undici into Node Core. And we're a little bit out of standardized universe.
Well, it will be exposing no Undici as a first class concept of like if you go and expose a set global dispatcher and proxy agent, you might as well expose all of Undici.
Yeah. So I mean, there's actually two parts here. Is one is how can we achieve this proxying thing? I think there are other ways of doing that. For example, we had this issue at Undici actually about supporting some global environment variables, and then just make it magically working through those.
Yeah, true. Mm-hmm.
And the other option is to export all of Undici.
Okay. How can we achieve this proxying behavior? And how there are
I think there's two separate issues, but they might be related, of course.
Support environment variables. This is actually very interesting, Robert. It's actually, there is also another things to consider, which is the fact that we are not supporting SOC 5. Okay. Support for SOC 5 is SOC 4.5 is missing at the moment, but available in third-party modules. Yeah.
Michael wants to say something.
Yeah, go for it, Michael.
Yes. So when you're talking about global environment variables, do you think about the well-known HTTPS _ proxy or something else?
Yes.
I posted an issue in the chat.
Oh, amazing. So yes, supporting that. So making fetch
consider those environment variables.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of falls on semi-standardies.
So that can be also another decision. Okay, we make the Undici default agent aware of proxies. Might be as well as a good one as exposing Undici and can get us out of the way. I am open. Like I'm not super. I don't know. Essentially, so at this point, but it's good that we chat about it.
I think this is a better solution to the specific problem that I believe we're trying to solve with the proxy. And I think, exposing all of Undici is a little bit of a separate conversation to that.
Yeah, well, it's if If
And one
that's the
doesn't
only
exclude the
reason
other.
why we want to expose Undici, yes, absolutely. That's like this seems to be a good option. But it also means that the fetch from Node will be responding to that environment variable. I don't know if we want to do that in the first place. So,
What does Deno and the other runtimes do? No idea, because that's also relevant.
Is there a reason why the built-in HTTP module doesn't?
there's no implementation for proxying in core.
So that's the reason, I guess.
And the reason there's no implementation is just because nobody did it, or there's
Because we
pushback?
didn't want it, because Node at the time didn't want it. It was the small core period.
Yep.
Deno supports it. Okay, this is a good argument for us to do it. Since
Yeah, and I think that could kind of also be taken up at the Winter CG.
it seems about it.
Yeah.
Here, data point in favor of this. Deno supports it by default. Then just a second. Let me check Python.
What about cloud workers or whatever they're called? That James is working on.
You can specify environment variables for them.
Okay.
So apparently Python supports it too. So it's just us that we don't apparently. Let me see if I can find. I find just tutorials. I can't find. The Python docs. Yeah, well, it would be good to check other runtimes, but if that's the case, then we can just like that will solve all the problem and make it go away, essentially.
Yeah.
If Python or Ruby and Python, Ruby, and other runtimes supports this by default.
And yes, it uses the connect method for proxying.
Yeah. So okay. Oh, Java does not support environment variables. Yeah, it's connect. Tobias. Yeah. Can you please fill in a little bit at me with the minutes because I'm being lagging behind. Because especially on the chats messages. So yeah, supports it. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So yeah. We might just decide to do that. That would be a good option. Okay. It's going to be implemented in Undici, but that doesn't change. We can even make it different from the usage of how Undici works and change the default configuration that gets shipped to Node even. So I don't know if we want to do that, but we could. Okay, like Undici can stay not without having the proxying, those environment variables enabled. But I'm not sure if we want that to begin with. I don't know. Oh, Cloudflare Workers also supports it. Well, this is Wrangler though.
What?
This is Wrangler. It's not Cloudflare Workers. Wrangler is the CLI tool built on top of Node and Undici. So basically, it's already implemented. It's using the same code that we are talking about.
Are we already using HTTP proxy environment variable, or what do you mean?
No, well, they detect. So in order to support, so Wrangler is a command line tool built on top of Node that that uses Undici underneath to do its job. I think I've seen a lot of issues from them, so I expect them to. Let me check. But it's seems what it is. Let me check. And dependencies. It's using a mini flare, which it should be using Undici. I'm just going to check. Mini flare. And it's using Undici. Yeah.
Okay, so make Undici's default global dispatcher take into account the proxy HTTP environment variable.
Yeah, I would. It's the proxy agent. So right now we have. We should create this new, as I said, env HTTP proxy agent, and then which does the parsing, and then set this at the global dispatcher instead of what we currently have.
Yep. Exactly.
Is there any chance that implicitly proxying? So there was a question from Tobias. Is there any chance that implicitly proxying in Undici based on the environment break packages that explicitly proxy based on the same n variable? No, I don't think so. Like, I'm not sure if we are not. I am on the verge of considering that change in Undici as some major change for Undici. But I would not like fetch is technically still experimental in Node, so it can be backported from my point of view. Like it's not. It's I'm on the verge. I'm not convinced. I'm not sure. Okay, it's significant enough of a change of behavior that.
But are we in a hurry to add this to Node? I mean, can't it just be added in version 20? It's almost here.
Big question. Well, technically it can be added in 19 and 18. Like there's no point in it's a fetch is experimental still. Okay. So it's I don't know. Okay, this is a question mark. Well, we can conclude this meeting. I think concluding this meeting saying we have HTTP proxy, like the answer will be we are going to implement HTTP proxy and then no proxy and variable support, and then we will discuss on the subversiveness or something, maybe at a later stage. This seems a big after we see exactly the impact, we can run some currently in the gold mine. We can do a little bit more of that analysis, I think.
And then we postpone the including Undici in core discussion.
Yeah, I would be like, this seems to be a good outcome, to be honest. So I'm going to write a little bit here. In the TSC meeting of today, we decided that we are going to support HTTP proxy, HTTPS proxy, and no var, and no proxy and variables directly in Undici. Okay. Cool. This seems a good take, and it seems a good one. Let me update the minutes.
I also have one issue to discuss that was labeled with TSC agenda, but I can't find it now. I guess it's in a different repo.
Oh, okay.
If we're done with this one.
This is done. Like this is not. This is nothing else.
Yeah, so we've started receiving, PRs that are doing changes according to the new HTTP 1.1 RFC, and that's great. But that requires changes in our LHDP parser.
Yeah.
Which in doing, I don't know his name, has been the maintainer for previously, but he is
Fedar. It's Fedar.
Fedar. Okay, yeah, he is no longer so active. And this LHDP parser, which is very well implemented, but it's a little bit of a magic. It uses like this domain-specific LL parse language thing that generates code, and nobody except Fedar really truly understands it. So we kind of have a maintenance issue here with LHDP. I wouldn't say it's urgent. We've kind of, managed to get through security fixes and stuff like that by people trying.
We can get the fixes. I think we can get the fixes out if case, but I would be very much worry about. I agree with your worry essentially.
So I don't think it's an urgent issue for security, was what I was trying to say. But it is a long-term issue, and it's especially an issue if, for example, we want to update so we support the latest RFC for HTTP 1.1, the current situation. And then the question is, how do we solve this? Do we find someone that wants to and can read up on this LL parse and maintain it, or do we need to rewrite it again in a more with a more accessible code base for developers? Or
so I was chatting, funny enough, about it with Paolo Insogna on an issue, or maybe on Slack, I don't know. I was literally chatting with him. Paolo has been helping with the maintenance of LHDP. It's probably the person that knows that code base better than anybody.
Mm.
So an outcome to that. So my take here is those changes. Yeah, thank you. It's that's the issue. So it's so this was not picked up by the script. Interesting. Okay, and it's I think the outcome would be to have a chat between yourself, myself, and Paolo. I think that changes to the LHD. So I think if we want to support that, so we have two choices here that we can do. Either we consider those changes to align ourselves with the new parser, with the new spec, some are minor, and we roll with them and we implement them in the current parser, or we treat them as some are major and we do a big update on the parser.
Yeah. And do we have, like, does Paolo, does he think that he could spend time on implementing the whole thing?
That is I would prefer not to. I would prefer to retain this thing because ironing out all the security vulnerabilities of this one took quite a lot of time, and it took maybe a couple of years to ironing them out. Yeah. So I am not. I don't know. That's the gist.
There's no good answer to this question.
No.
But then it becomes a question that, do we have someone that can do, more intensive work on this? And is Paolo?
I think Paolo. I think we should chat. We should schedule a meeting with Paolo and open a public issue essentially, and reconvene a meeting of the HTTP, all the people in the Node.js/HTTP group, and talk about this. Like, I think that's the outcome that we can have at this point.
I think the original intention of having HTTP was that it was supposed to be easier to maintain than the original C++ implementation, because that one had lots of labels and go-tos, I remember.
I'm sure. It probably is easier to make changes. That doesn't make it easy to make changes.
It's the previous code base was also very, very much inflexible. So in order to configure it, you're basically talking about either static configuration on the library. There was no way to instantiate an HTTP parser, for example. Like, it was incredibly bad for maintenance and long-term availability of the project. Having said that, the current one, if you know how LLVM work, you are actually probably in a good spot to understand how LLHTTP is working. But so if you don't know how LLVM work, you are probably without luck.
Okay, so it's more about the DSL not being powerful enough.
Sorry,
it's more about the DSL being not powerful enough.
I think it's lack of documentation, probably.
Or
like it's probably lack of documentation on the internals. Like it's even lacking some pointers on. It's lacking some pointers here, okay, on the topic. Like it talks about the public API. It doesn't talk about the how it works internally. And I don't
remember the big code DSL thing.
Oh,
so it doesn't have documentation about the big code I don't know, transpiler thing. Is that what you mean?
It's the documentation of the internal library. It's not like it's hard to understand how all of this fit together.
Like it seems well written, and
No, it's super well written. Sorry,
yeah.
It's LL parse is super well written.
So
it's
the
not
code
about
is clean, it's well written, etc. It's just that, for example, from personal experience, if I go in there, I just don't understand what is this. It's like reading a different language. It's like reading Rust without knowing Rust. and then you have this kind of getting started boundary that nobody really wants to put the time into. Once you get past that, it's very maintainable, I would guess. But
it is. It's even if you just need to do very tiny fixes, it's the security fixes that we have done. It's actually maintainable, very much maintainable. It's however, if you look at so the whole documentation of LL parse, which is this like the DSL to create this that's used to create this parser, it's like 100 lines. Like I don't understand how it's I don't understand it. Okay, I have no I don't understand this. Sorry, I'm a little bit of at a loss of how it all works together. Okay. So yeah, that's the problem. And not that so this one is more maintainable for the kind of fixes that we needed to do. But the barrier to entry and contribution is actually very hard. And by the way, the LL parse thing is also as part of the Node.js group project. So
is it, I don't know, still possible to reach out to Fedar to
yeah, I
ask
can.
him to like document the L parse and like be done with it? And so
I think we can ask. I can reach out to Fedar to ask him. Hey, Fedar, can you please add a little bit of docs on how LLHTTP and LL parse fits together? Maybe give us pointers on the relevant LLVM documentation. You know, because I think it's that's
a contributor guide.
Hmm?
We need a contributor guide.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, like the also because it's there's nothing on this repo. Like if something happened and we need to fix a bug or LL parse does not work anymore, I don't even know where to start. So
yeah, I was looking at his blog and there was nothing. So
you see, it's like a little bit of a guide of how LLHTTP and LL parse fits together. That will be very good. It's very thin. Okay, it's probably very powerful, but it's definitely very powerful because if you the basic code. So there is something phenomenal on LLHTTP that the tests are written in Markdown, which but this makes writing tests super easy actually. And after you go around, you pass the shocker moment. It's great. Look at this one. Okay, these are the tests for the pipelining. So there are a few tests, and then it tells what offset and all the things that needs to happen, and it's actually very good. So it's what the parser should be doing when doing those things, when receiving that input is great.
Yep.
So I'm just it's really good. Problem is not super easy to understand what's going on. Cool. Should I, Rana, can you open up that issue or should I to discuss? Like, I think we have 2 points. One, do two action items here. One is the Node.js. One, ask Fedar to, hey, Fedar, can you please write a little bit more docs on LL parse and LLHTTP on how they fit together, essentially. On the internals, a little bit of a contributor guide. And then do a meeting between ourselves and decide what to do here.
I think we are more likely to get a positive response if you write it.
The issue, or
yeah, the request for these things, the meeting and the.
Okay, yeah, I'll get it done. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll get it done. Okay, so I'm getting home 2 action items, which it's good. So it's reach to Fedar for a contributor guide. Yeah, cool. I think that's the all of it for the issue. Have we got any specific news to mention for strategic initiatives? No. An issue on.
I have a request. I would say, like, I'd like to have some reviews on the project update PR, and I've shared the link in the chat. So this should possibly unblock the single executable PR.
Oh, okay. Why do you need reviews? It's all approved.
It just has one approval from a collaborator, so it would be nice if we could get another one.
Yeah, okay. Fine. I am. Here you go. You have it. That was perfect. Okay. Amazing. And
by the way, since you're talking about this PR, maybe you should reward it to tools or maybe test. I don't know, because it's not in the depths folder.
Sure, I'll send a PR to change the automation.
Also, since we're all here anyway, this HTTP2 live lock issue. How urgent do we think that is to get?
I think it's pretty urgent and significant. I think we should be. So, what issue is Rana? Can you Robert? Can you pass
46234?
462346234. I think it's pretty urgent, and we should do backparts very quickly everywhere.
I think it comes into like a set immediate infinite loop there.
Yeah. Urgent. Yeah. Yeah, we should do a revert and backport these revert and issue releases everywhere, because it's not. It's bad. It's pretty bad. The problem is that we're not our test didn't catch, and we don't have a regression test. This is the thing that worries me the most. And once we do a revert, well, if we can manage to have a test, that would be perfect. But we should be reverting and backporting everywhere.
Yeah. I'm actually unsure when exactly it happens, but
when I saw the code, I had that suspicion, and I was just but I tried and I couldn't make it.
Yeah, same here. It happened on one of our production servers, so we had 2 developers trying to reproduce it, and in the end we just tried to debug the live code, and then we kept getting into this loop here. But
yeah, but if you can trigger it, that would be the best. If you can find a way to reproduce it, that would be the best outcome. If you can.
I think we have a little time to spend on that today, but I can't promise anything.
Yeah, if you can repro it, that will be way better, and so on.
Yeah. Excellent. I think that's it for me, at least.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, amazing. And if you can stick, is there anything else from the strategic initiatives? No? Okay, perfect. Can you please still on? There are a couple of things that we need to cover about security and about other stuff. So in the meanwhile, thank you all for watching, and